Now, they are going to suffer even more in 2027 because whereas it shifted in 2022, someone still thinks you can actually count people's tribes and win elections in 2027. Today, President William Ruto is one of the most popular politicians in Nyanza. It is a very hard election for old guard politicians with no legacy. When you are old guard and you have no legacy, 2027 is not your type of election. It is easier for young people because we as young people, the only thing we need to give point 2027 is a promise. The election is going to be lost and won on two things. Number one is going to be won and lost on a narrative. What is your narrative as a candidate? And does the narrative resonate with the people? And number two is going to be lost and won on plan and its execution. The first thing you need as a plan to win an election, you need a candidate. So as it stands now, they have no candidate. And remember, this is about, is it about 16, 18 months to the general election? When you look at our history, the people who have had the candidate first have always won the election. One of the reasons we lost is because we spent too much time in Azimio deciding who is our candidate. The other side had already had their candidate. Another reason why Kindiki becomes a very strong contender for the running mate position for President William Ruto is the fact that with each passing day, Rigathi Gachagua has become a master at making mistakes. He has become the chief campaigner, in fact, of President William Ruto. Every day he's making a new mistake, he's saying a new useless thing, and he is losing the mountain that we thought would be predominantly Gachagua's. He is losing it every other day. President Ruto has proven to be a very good political manager of his people. I think President Ruto is the first president that I have seen where people lose jobs in his government, but they do not lose, he doesn't lose them from the fold of government people. The only thing that is going to lack about Raila Odinga in 2027 is his physical presence. But his influence and his imprints will be all over that election. You can be able to see that we are over, is it 2 months or 3 months since we lost Raila Odinga? But I doubt we have gone beyond 2 days without his name on the headline. So trust me, even in the 2027 election, the election will have fingerprints of Raila Odinga all around. In fact, I can argue that some of the politicians and the aspirants will still have images of Raila Odinga on their posters. How it will end, Sifuna will lose. And then he will have to exit the party. Because the only way for him to remain wherever he is, he has to leave the party. So I think it's just that he still does not have an exit strategy.
A very good day, Sauti TV viewers. It's a very, very big 2026. We are here with a political strategist, managing partner at 2 Cents Leadership Institute, Advice Mundalo. First of all, thank you very much. Sijui 2026 yako imeanza vipi?
No, 2026 imeanza fiti sana. And thank you very much, Sauti TV. I think this is my inaugural appearance on this TV, but I've been seeing you people. Yeah, so 2026 imeanza fiti. The year is looking good. The weather is not looking bad. Of course, we are expecting a lot of heated political temperatures, a lot of shifting political tectonic plates, a lot of stuff, but generally mwaka imeanza fiti and we thank God. Yeah.
The reason we are here, we need a bit of 2 cents, like what your organization says and does, and we need a bit of advice. Okay. Kenyans need a bit of advice from you. Obviously, having worked in the political space for quite some time now, and being a young leader, a young political strategist, because you lead in your own way. You may never have been elected, but you carry some influence.
Yeah, I led political party.
Yes. Yeah. The reason I wanted us to have a sit down is to this just follows from some of the social media posts that you made, and I wanted just to get some way to analyze from the 2022 general election and going forward, because I remember last year people were talking about 2027. Yeah. This year we are talking about next year.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us, from the look of things of how the elections were conducted in 2022, what is going to be different in the 2027 general election?
Thank you very much. And 2022 set a very different dimension. And you know, 2022, I was one of the campaign coordinators for Azimio. Then having been granted the opportunity by Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, one of the things that I saw that shifted in 2022 was the politics of tribalism. The politics of tribalism started dying in 2022 because then the census of tribes could not help anybody. Because I saw President William Ruto beat us then at Azimio, but it is something that we could be able, you could see it coming. Because at that time, people for the first time started being mobilized under an ideology. Yeah, because it was the bottom-up economic transformation model, and there was this thing called the hustler narrative. This thing was eating up the country from the coast to Busia to the lake regions. There was a sense of unity that people were coming together around that idea away from their tribes. And now that started taking us on a different path. So the politicians who are used to census of tribes started suffering at that time. Now they are going to suffer even more in 2027. Because whereas it shifted in 2022, someone still thinks you can actually count people's tribes and win elections in 2027. And that's going to be a great disservice, because when I look at the situation of the country today, again, people are extremely awoke. The young generation is extremely awoke, and people want a conversation around issues. That's why, for the very first time, there was a protest in Kenya that was not politician-led, but it was issue-led, when people were started to talk about the finance bill. If you asked Kenyans in 2018 what a finance bill is, many of them did not even know that we usually have something like a finance bill in Kenya. But now we started having people go to the streets on issues, not because politicians have called them to the street. Now, we started having people having conversations, even online, around the status of their leadership, around the status of their governance, not because a politician has called them. Today, we can be able to be having this conversation about politics on Sauti TV, not on Citizen, not on KTN, not on any of these platforms. Why? Because even the digital space has gotten interest on matters of leadership and governance. So that simply shows you that in 2027, one thing that I expect that is going to happen extremely is that the conversation around issue-based politics is going to take center stage from the president level to the MCA. So if no one has the correct narrative, it's going to be the hardest election for an incumbent politician who has no narrative to sell and nothing tangible for people to touch. It's going to be the hardest election for such kind of a person.
But we are seeing advice. We are seeing people still whipping the community emotions. This my community, my tribe, wale wengine, tuungane. Hii ni mambo ya mlima, hii ni mambo ya lake. Do you think is that entirely from your thinking and from your statement, this the next 2027 general election is going to be entirely issue based, or we are going to still have some influence based on communities and ethnicities?
Of course, it can never change drastically 100% at once. But I'm just saying that whereas the element of tribe will be there is a bigger element that is going to actually be there as well. And that is the politics of what exactly are you coming to do for us. That's why you look at the status of the by-elections and you'll be able to see. Because I've always said that in politics, things rarely change. They just remain the same. It's only that you change how you want to see them. Because if it was entirely about tribes, the by-election in Mbeere was predominantly being led by, like, the people who resonated more in tribe to those people would be the opposition candidates. But they were able to lose that election. So it is an election where and people are asking the question, what are you coming to do for us? So whereas tribe is a factor, politicians will always want to mobilize people around their tribes per se and all those kind of things. But the tilting factor is not just going to be the tribe alone. It's going to be, what are you coming to do for us? I interact with many people every day in political space. I talk to people. And one of the fundamental things they keep asking is, this guy who wants my vote, anakuja kunifanyia nini? So if you are running against government, for instance, people are not just going to hate government because the president is not their tribe. That thing is not going to work. People are going to want to understand, if government has done something wrong, what is your alternative of what is right? Yeah. Today, President William Ruto is one of the most popular politicians in Nyanza. you can be able to see how things can really, really change. So that is the kind of politics, that is the direction that we are actually going. You can see when people start having conversations around opposition leaders today, and people are starting to ask, okay, fine, apart from you telling us Ruto must go and one term, what alternative are you offering? Yeah, and when the president asks Kalonzo that in 40 years of your existence, what have you done? People are taking those things seriously. You can go even to the social media of Kalonzo Musyoka in the comment section, and you will see that he's talking about something different, but people will be commenting and asking him, but wait, hii 40 years yenyewe we pia ulitufanyia nini? People are refusing to just take it as a joke. They're saying no. If truly the road that leads to your home has not yet been done for 40 years, then we should be able to have a conversation around it. People want to ask, you as Martha Karua, you've been in positions of influence for over 30 years. People want to take stock and say, okay, fine, before we talk about 2027 and Ruto, what exactly have you done? People want to talk about people like Maraga and they want to ask Maraga, okay, apart from saying you annulled a presidential election, now, what else have you actually done? What else on what basis can we anchor our hopes and aspirations on you? And that's why I'm saying it is a very hard election for old guard politicians with no legacy. When you are old guard and you have no legacy, 2027 is not your type of election. It is easier for young people, because we as young people, the only thing we need to give point 2027 is a promise. Because we have no baggage of what did we do last time, because we were not there. Yeah, we were not in those offices. And when you are a government, at the level of President William Ruto, for instance, and you're going to the 2027 election, you need to give people a story. So as president, I keep asking myself, when President William Ruto will be explaining to the people in 2027 and saying, I promised affordable housing, and here you can be able to see affordable housing in all the 48 corners of this country. When President Ruto will be saying, I promised you the Hustler Fund, and here you have the Hustler Fund. Some of you, in fact, have dates of that Hustler Fund up to today. When President Ruto will be saying that I promise that there will be an open learning university that will offer education at half the price of another university, and here it is, and it's actually graduated people from that. When President Ruto will be talking about all these things and talking about the price of unga, and saying when we started the price of unga was this, now the price of unga has come down to a little bit just above 100 shillings. When the president will be talking about these things and talking about the youth program, the Nyota program, and saying I promised the young people something, here now we have young people. I have a program called the Nyota program, which is helping young people to actually venture into business. When he'll be saying this, what will be opposition leaders saying? I don't know if you see the predicament they are in, the way I see it. When the president will be saying this, what will they be saying? Because at that time, you cannot just answer that by saying one term and saying Ruto must go. You must really have something tangible to tell people. And that is the tragedy that is there in 2027, especially for old guards and old politicians with no legacy.
Advice, tell me, and I keep asking people this question. How is this election going to be lost and won? You've spoken about the issue of being the President Ruto being judged with the promises he made to Kenyans, and the opposition being judged, for example, to the new promises they will make to Kenyans. Or they could be judged with the sloganeering, which I know President Ruto really does not like that. Now, the third thing, will they be judged according to some of the issues that they are going to be previously, for example, like former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in government. They would ask him, for example, what did you deliver and what did you not deliver? Yeah. How is this election going to be won or lost? Or is it already won or is it already lost?
Opinion poll is anything to go by, because you are able to see the opinion poll that happened recently about who is the most preferred person for president, and I saw President William Ruto actually leading that opinion poll. But then the election is going to be lost and won on two things. Number one is going to be won and lost on a narrative. What is your narrative as a candidate, and does the narrative resonate with the people? And number two is going to be lost and won on plan and its execution. The plan and its execution is something that is very fundamental in elections. You are seeing ODM complaining today about who ate agents' money and all that kind of thing. That is now being planless. You can, like the person who voted can now be able to see why we actually lost. Because you can be able to see that we just did not have an effective plan to deal with the election. So whoever plans the best in 2027, whoever gets the right narrative that resonates with the people, whoever then follows it up by a good plan and executes the plan effectively, that is the person who is going to win the election. I really do not believe that a Kenyan election is... I believe it's so hard to rig Kenyan elections unless you just want to whip emotions. Otherwise, the person with the correct plan and the correct narrative will actually win the election. Yeah.
Coming from a team that lost the 2022 general election,
Yeah.
as it stands right now, and from your last statement, it is very hard to rig elections in Kenya. Do you think the opposition right now, as it is, regardless of them not having probably a candidate, how are they going to maybe plan or think of how not to lose an election? Or is this election already decided?
I've already given them the formula. Remember, I'm not even hired by them to help them. I don't know why you're making me help them. But I've already given them the leakage. The first thing they need is a working narrative. The second thing they need is a plan that is well executed. So far as it stands now, I don't see a working narrative, because the only thing they are moving around with is one term and Ruto must go. On the other side, President William Ruto already has a working narrative, because he is giving people the promise that he has coined as the Singapore dream. Yeah? This is exactly what happened with the hustler narrative. So this is a narrative. People can be able to see the future. Where do we want to go? This is the promise that he's giving. And he's saying, how are we going there? That's why we are building this road. That's why we are launching the Mau Summit Road, that Rironi Mau Summit Road. That's why we are doing this affordable housing. That's why we are investing in the youth with the Nyota program. And this is our road to Singapore. Now, when I go to the opposition, they are saying one term, Ruto must go. Then the people ask, so what about it? Now, when they ask what about it, they find no answer. So now you already can see there they do not have a narrative. Then we come to the plan. The first thing you need as a plan to win an election, you need a candidate. So as it stands now, they have no candidate. And remember, this is about, is it about 16, 18 months to the general election? Now, whereas the people they are competing against are sure of their candidate. Their candidate is President William Ruto. This other side, there is no candidate so far. Remember, when you look at our history, the people who have had the candidate first have always won the election. One of the reasons we lost is because we spent too much time in Azimio deciding who is our candidate. The other side had already had their candidate. And the same thing happened in 2022, the same thing happened in 2017, the same thing happened in 2013. So already they are on the wrong side of history as a united opposition. In terms of one, do they even have a candidate? Plan number two, are they even united in the first place? Because you can be able to see that each of them is pulling in different directions. Yeah? Whereas all of us know that someone like Rigathi Gachagua is an impeached person. He is busy telling people that he is going to be voted to become president. Now that is causing confusion even within their own camp. Because when you have put a person who was impeached, who cannot even hold office as a party leader, and he is on the forefront telling people and marshalling them that he is going to become president, already you can see that is confusion and that's being planless. So you can be able to see, even in the way they move around, you can be able to feel that there's a lot of disunity in this same opposition. So in terms of just having a plan, one, they do not have a candidate. Two, they are not even united in themselves. Three, they do not have a roadmap. Where a roadmap means, when you look at the side of Kenya Kwanza and the government, next week you will know where President Ruto will be. If you check today, the schedule of President Ruto, the schedule of Kindiki, the schedule of all these people, they know where they are going to be, they know what they are going to tell people, they know what they are selling. Okay? President Ruto in the last 3 days has been in central Kenya, I think Western region, and now today he's in Machakos today, which is now the eastern side. So, where have opposition leaders been in the last 3 days, if I was to ask you?
Maybe they're in a hotel somewhere strategizing.
In a hotel somewhere, strategizing. Then waiting on Sunday, they go to a church. Yeah? So, every time you hear them, they are in a church service or a funeral. And you are competing with people who, in the last 3 days alone, they have covered almost 4 regions of the country. And that's what I'm telling you. The formula of winning an election is very obvious. It is very predictable. It is just that when it fails to align with your hopes and aspirations, then you think that maybe you are right about election. And there's always no... What I've learned, Kevin, with time in being in this space, I've learned one thing, that there's no miracle that's going to happen.
It's all planned and crafted.
The way things are and the way they seem, that's exactly how they will end up. The same thing I said during the by-elections. I kept saying that the by-election is going to be won dominantly by government. Not because government will do anything weird, but I'm sure both you and me saw the energy that Professor Kindiki put in Mbeere. We saw him on the ground every day. We saw the structure of UDA get to the ground to actually work. We saw Farouk Kibet and others live in Malava. We saw the structure of UDA and all those instruments live and toil in Malava. We saw ODM pitch camp in Kasipul. And just because of that, they actually won the election. There was nothing dramatic or something, no miracle that actually happened. But then, if you want to excuse yourself and you want to make yourself feel nice for now, as you wait for 2027, the easiest thing to say is that the election was rigged. I can assure you, I don't see where any election was rigged. For every place I've seen the election win, people have put in the work, people have planned, executed well, and the results have been there to speak for themselves. We lost in Azimio because when you look at it, we failed in the last minute of execution of the plan. And that's why today we can be able to have arguments about there was a problem with the money for agents and all that and all that. So that simply means we did not have an effective plan. Our own chief agent in Azimio has kept moving from one media house to another, explaining how he was actually not even a chief agent. I keep asking people, when I saw Kindiki stand up during the bombers, when people were in bombers, and there was tension, and Kindiki stood up and ordered members of Kenya Kwanza to shut up and sit down. I don't remember that image. Do you think Centabao had the capacity and the guts to order Azimio people to shut up and sit down? And that's how we lost. And that's the reality. So with time, I have grown into becoming a politically very realistic person. Yeah.
Having said that advice, and let me take you back to something you have mentioned, the issue about plan. And having the camp of President Ruto already planned the roadmap towards winning the elections. Yeah. Let me ask you, is the running mate issue going to be, say, the Waterloo, or is going to affect how this campaign, President Ruto campaign, re-election campaign is going to hold? Because that is a very, very sensitive issue.
Yes.
We already have somebody like Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, who is in power right now. Do you think it is not easy, humanly, politically, to surrender such a powerful seat and cede it to somebody else, maybe a newbie who has never been there? Do you think this is going to be the water?
First of all, the aspect of a running mate is very, very important in our politics at the top, at the seat of the presidency. But the aspect of the running mate is very, very useless when it comes to county governments. I argue that most governors, rarely do they ever win because of deputy. They just win on their own. But at the top, there is perception politics and the management of our, again, community diversity. So, of course, the aspect of the running mate is very, very important, both to President Ruto and to whoever becomes the candidate on the other side. And as it stands now, I look at it, and if you ask me this question probably 6-7 months ago, I could almost be sure that Professor Kindiki would not be President Ruto's running mate in 2027. Why? Because at the time, I would have argued that Mount Kenya is already a gone case. So the president would definitely be looking at new frontiers where there are numbers. But I don't think my answer would be the same today. Why? Because Kindiki, if anything, has proven his might in the by-elections. This by-election, not many of us thought he can actually win that by-election. We saw him put in an effort. We saw him win the by-election. He has washed away the perception of many Kenyans that he's just a hand-picked professor who can only be a loyal deputy. No, he has proven that he's not just a loyal deputy. He's actually a serious political operative. He's a serious political mobilizer. So he is not someone you can actually wish away. If you would not want to say you can give him the whole of the mountain, then you can't deny the fact that he has control of Mount Kenya East. Another reason why Kindiki becomes a very strong contender for the running mate position for President William Ruto is the fact that with each passing day, Rigathi Gachagua has become a master at making mistakes. He has become the chief campaigner, in fact, of President William Ruto. Every day he's making a new mistake, he's saying a new useless thing, and he is losing the mountain that we thought would be predominantly Gachagua's. He is losing it every other day. Every other day, people are feeling like, wait a minute, okay, fine, we might agree with you that about matters, but we don't think you can actually lead us. The more he loses ground, the more Professor Kindiki gains ground. So if you ask me today, Professor Kindiki is the first person, the first ranking person for consideration for deputy president. Why? Because he has proven that he can actually do the job. He has proven that he has the absolute loyalty. And he has also proven that he is a political mobilizer and he's a political vehicle that cannot be wished away. The person probably that would have come in if it were not for Professor Kindiki, initially, if you asked me 6 months ago, I would have told you that the deputy president will go to the Western region. But when I look at it now, I don't see anybody putting up enough effort to actually outmaneuver Professor Kindiki from the Western region. I don't think you see as much galvanization from Musalia Mudavadi as you see from Professor Kindiki. So if you ask me today, I really believe that, of course, dynamics might change in the future. But as it stands today, when you're having this conversation, I think Professor Kindiki still stands the chance as the highest contender for that position.
Let's continue at that. And I will still ask you, based on what you have said, let's assume it will be a Ruto Kindiki ticket. Yeah. There's this other very plum positions in the matrix. There's a Speaker of the National Assembly. There's a Speaker of the Senate. There's a Prime Cabinet Secretary. And now cabinet positions. Yeah. ODM, for example, and we know the ODM-UDA pact could bring ODM into government, yeah, fully into government. Yeah. So this brings other influential leaders, yeah, who would want to say, for ODM, it's either we take the speaker or nothing. Yeah. Because let's assume that so advice, let me ask you, with what is happening right now, you've already, from your statement, we would assume that the vice president seat is, or the running mate seat is already gone. For 2027 is already gone with Kithure Kindiki. Yeah. There are these other powerful three or something seats. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Speaker of the Senate, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Yeah. With the new entrants, assuming that the UDA-ODM pact is going to be ratified, yeah, and they come in as coalition partners, there are going to be other powerful leaders who come from the ODM side. Yeah. How are these seats going to be shared? Do you think this is now going to be what will be the headache for President William Ruto and his coalition? If at all it's going to be a winning coalition, he needs to satisfy all these political interests, all these political personalities and egos.
I think it's not a very big hurdle for President William Ruto. I think these things are more or less, I told you that most of these things are just obvious. They can be seen. It's only that you choose to refuse, you choose not to accept the reality of what you can actually see. And if you ask me if ODM, with the coming of ODM into the merger with UDA under Kenya Kwanza, obviously there are positions like the Speaker of the National Assembly and or the Prime Cabinet Secretary will definitely go to them. Yeah, because you look at the might of ODM. ODM is not just any other party in Kenya. Apart from being the oldest party, it is a very structured party. It has the numbers and it has influence. It has over 4 regions that it actually comes with in the republic. So in fact, if Raila Odinga was alive, we would be arguing that ODM will definitely take the deputy president's position. But of course, without him now, it leaves mostly, ODM becomes a bit less advantaged, and most of the people now in ODM are more or less just the ordinary politicians. But then, as a party, it ranks above Ford Kenya. As a party, it ranks above PAR. As a party, it ranks above ANC, which is not in the fold right now. So that simply shows you that in that arithmetic, the party number 2 under that arrangement will be ODM. If it will be ODM, then it will definitely get the third position, either the speakership or the prime or both of them. And then, of course, plus many other things that come with government. Remember, governments are big. So there are many things that come with them. We have cabinet secretaries, we have heads of parastatal, we have permanent secretaries, we have regional development plans and chairs of committees in parliament. There's a lot of things that ODM has to benefit from this coalition. Plus also remember that President Ruto has proven to be a very good political manager of his people. I think President Ruto is the first president that I have seen where people lose jobs in his government, but they do not lose, he doesn't lose them from the fold of government people. You see people like Odoyo Widi, who was the chair of Lake Basin Authority, and he was degazetted, but he's still a fierce defender of President William Ruto. You look at people like Wangamati, the former governor of Bungoma County, he was degazetted from his chairmanship role, but he's still a fierce defender of President William Ruto. You look at people like Moses Kuria, who have resigned from government, but just yesterday or 2 days ago, he was shoulder to shoulder with the president in the Mount Kenya region. So President Ruto has mastered the art of managing people and managing these political figureheads. So I can be able to assure you that he is not going to lose any of them, regardless of what type of agreement that they will be able to have, regardless of whether Musalia Mudavadi loses the prime CS position, or Wetangula loses the speakership, or Kingi loses the speakership. I can guarantee you that all these people will still support the re-election of President William Ruto, because one of the most fundamental things that he has done as president is he has proven to be a president who can be depended on in terms of pre-election agreements. I argue that I think he is the first one to honor election agreements. And now politicians have been able to see that this is a man we can trust. He can promise you this and you'll actually get it. He is not like the previous people that we've had who would get into office and the first thing to do is to kick away the election agreement like we had between Kibaki and Raila. So President Ruto has proven that he can be depended on, that he can be honest with the promise that he gives you, and that is endearing very many politicians to him. So with a person who has that type of character, that type of personality, you cannot easily beat him when you have the personality of Rigathi Gachagua, where no one trusts you. What you say today, we cannot depend on it tomorrow. Where you want to bully people into submission. Where you think Nairobians should elect a governor that you can tell what to do. You can see those are two people from two extreme worlds. And that is what really, really advantages the coalition of Kenya Kwanza. Not for anything else, but because of this thing that we're talking about. Yeah.
Tell me, it is the first time since, I would say, 1992 or 1997, when Raila Odinga was actively in national politics. Yeah. It is the first time since 1992 that Raila Odinga is not going to influence, is not going to be in the political space. Yeah. This is very unique, having lost such a figure, a political figure. Do you think, aside from the ODM and opposition politics, do you think Raila Odinga is going to influence the 2027 general election, albeit inside in the grave?
The only thing that is going to lack about Raila Odinga in 2027 is his physical presence. But his influence and his imprints will be all over that election. You can be able to see that we are over, is it 2 months or 3 months since we lost Raila Odinga? But I doubt we have gone beyond 2 days without his name on the headline. All the time up to today. So that is how big and how powerful Raila Odinga was, and we can't wish that away. So trust me, even in the 2027 election, the election will have fingerprints of Raila Odinga all around. In fact, I can argue that some of the politicians and the aspirants will still have images of Raila Odinga on their posters. So he'll still be a very critical deal in the election of 2027, and possibly even in the election of 2032. Yeah, because he's the Mandela of Kenya. So it will take some time before you can fully erase, and I don't even think you can actually ever fully erase the influence of Raila Odinga on Kenyan politics. Yeah.
Oh, that's unique. Let me ask you, his successor, his blood brother, Dr. Oburu Oginga. Yeah. Yesterday, we saw a meeting in Kibra, the symbolic Kibra meeting. As you have mentioned, Raila's shadow is just hovering around Kenya's politics. We even saw the songs that were played. I know it is very early in the political space to even have new songs because they are not candidates yet. But even the songs are playing. The chant, even Dr. Oburu Oginga himself still cannot believe he's the ODM party leader. I heard him yesterday say Raila Odinga alikuwa anakuja hapa kusema. Do you think Dr. Oburu Oginga has the capacity or has the capability to marshal, to take ODM forward from, I know Raila Odinga's shoe were too big, I would say humongous to fit. Yeah. But do you think Oburu Oginga has the capability, has the capacity, even physically, to take ODM forward? Because these meetings, these campaign periods are very draining, even to the body, for a person over 80 years old. But forget about the physicality. Do you think he has the might, the influence to put that house in order and take it forward?
First of all, Oburu Odinga will never be Raila Odinga. Their personality is different. How they have conducted their politics is extremely different. I do not expect to see in Oburu what I would have seen in Raila. And that's why even the mobilization for Kibra yesterday was not to the level of Raila Odinga. Not put even age as a factor, because after all, he's only 2 years older than Raila Odinga. But if it was Raila in Kibra yesterday, it would have been a whole totally different story. So, first of all, arguments that try to compare him directly with Raila, I think are unfortunate and unfair on him. But what I think he has the capacity to do is, I think he was the right choice for party leader for this time in ODM. Because at a time like now, when ODM is healing from the wound of Raila Odinga, and this is a political party that has very many ambitious people with a lot of energy, sometimes you need a leader who is calm, who can talk to everybody, who can provide a fatherly image. And I think Oburu provides that fatherly image on ODM. And I think it's even the reason why up to now we still have ODM as a party. If it was given to young, ambitious, quick, moving, energetic young people, probably it would already be more than 30 pieces by now. Sometimes you just need that kind of wisdom. Sometimes not about the energy, it's about the wisdom. That's why most of us would go home in the villages and meet our old men and sit under a tree, and they would bring all of us together as a family. And they would be able to provide direction for that family. Not because they are the ones with the most energy, but they have the wisdom that we lack even with our energy. So that is the element, and I think that's the role that Oburu plays in ODM. And I think they should also help him by restraining him to that role. I don't think it's a correct strategy to keep parading him every time in rallies, per se. I think his wit and wisdom would do well in more organized setups, in town halls and things of that nature, in meeting political party leaders across the different regions, and then they can go and do the messaging in the rallies. But in terms of putting him in the rallies, I really don't think he's cut out for that kind of rally politics, that kind of euphoric politics. But then, in terms of just the wisdom and leading the party, I think he was the right pick, especially for this moment. He can bring people together. He can be the eldest, and therefore, sometimes we follow people and they can control us just because they are older than us. Yeah. So I think for this time, because I think I call it a transition moment of ODM. For this transition moment, I think he was the right pick. But in filling Raila's shoe, no.
I wanted to ask you that, and you just mentioned the word transitional. Yeah. He's a transitional leader. From your statement, that means Oburu Oginga is a transitional leader. Yeah. But let me ask you, for ODM to hold, considering the might of the party, they just celebrated their 20th anniversary. For ODM to hold, do you think it is right, or they should have another leader, another now more permanent leader before the 2027 general election?
No, I think Oburu Oginga should be able to take ODM all the way to the general election, because it's only 1 year. We are talking about 1 year. This is a time when ODM needs calmness, sobriety, and someone with a touch of wisdom to lead it, at least until after the next election. Then now there will be, the temperatures will have calmed down. Those who would be erratic would have exited, and now there will be enough temperature, and the environment will be sufficient to then transition to probably younger leadership. But for now, it is my opinion that he needs to lead ODM all the way to the general election. ODM is in thorough need of wisdom now more than it's in need of energy. Yeah.
I think there's so much to talk about, but let's just conclude it on a few issues. Yeah. Number one, going forward with what is happening in ODM, and let's conclude it at ODM. Yeah. We're seeing all the factions that are coming up. There's a faction that is led by, obviously, the party leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga. There's another faction, apparently, I'm being told it's led by Sifuna is just a mouthpiece. Probably it's led by the Raila Odinga family. Okay. Going forward, do you think the ODM unity will stand, or it's going to just fragment?
I don't know what we mean by ODM unity, because I have seen party positions remain party positions in ODM. So I haven't seen conflicting statements in terms of party positions. I have only seen conflicting statements in terms of personalities. So as a party, I think the party is not doing badly. I think we only have individuals who are in disagreement with the party. And I've kept saying that there is nothing like ODM and Sifuna are reading from different scripts. It is Sifuna reading from a different script from his party. Because when a party gives a statement as a central management committee, that is the position of the party. So when you contradict that position, then you are the one in disagreement with the party, and not the party in disagreement with you. So in my view, people like Sifuna are being cheeky, and they would want to have their cake and eat it at the same time. You can't want to have your personal opinion and also want to be a secretary general of a party. Because a secretary general of a party does not speak their opinion. A secretary general of a party speaks the opinion of the party. So when the opinion of the party differs with your own opinion, you speak that of the party. When you think yours is higher than that of the party, you relinquish yourself from position of secretary general. That is what sober leadership is about. Otherwise, when you want to speak from both ends of your mouth, then that is wanting to eat your cake and have it at the same time. That is actually what I call being a populist politician. Because Sifuna is the one who has kept reading he read the ODM UDA agreement, the 10-point agenda when they came together. He's the one who came out to reassure the public that the party is in the broad-based government. It was him. So he can't want today to again read from a different script. I think for me, that would be just trying to be populist and not necessarily trying to be a very a very objective leader. If he really is an objective leader, then he knows the right thing to do. He knows that you cannot contradict the Central Management Committee when you are a Secretary General. Those are basic facts that he knows. And if he thinks that he has this larger than life mindset, and maybe he believes people will follow him more than they would follow ODM, then he can again leave ODM, start another party, and see whether people will follow him. I think Sifuna has more to thank ODM than ODM has to thank Sifuna. So I think he owes ODM a bit of respect and loyalty if he is to be in it. And in the same respect and loyalty, if he's not to be in it, he should not help shred the party even further. He can just leave the party and chart this popular path that he thinks he actually have. And even at that time now will prove whether he's actually as popular as he might be thinking. Yeah.
How do you think this will end?
What is the meaning of this?
How do you think this conflict, Sifuna ODM, the conflict between Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and some of the top leadership members?
It is the conflict between Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and ODM party. It's not and some of the people, because the party has remained with the party positions. They are very clear. How it will end, Sifuna will lose. And then he will have to exit the party, because the only way for him to remain wherever he is, he has to leave the party. So I think it's just that he still does not have an exit strategy. But by all indication, he does not want to be in ODM. He has his personal agenda to advance more than he has the ODM agenda to advance. And remember, you must also remember how Sifuna came into ODM anyway. Yeah, it was through the same type of chaos. So if he exists through chaos, it's one and the same thing. It's just the old script repeating itself. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Advice, for your time. That has been Road to 2027. We look forward to having such enlightening conversation in future. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.